Hi, I'm Phil Palucha from Billionaires in Boxers, and you are about to engage with Up-Level Your Communication, hosted by Maluna. Wow, this is going to be powerful. Communication is at the heart of everything that is good about business and about sharing with your fellow humans, and Maluna is phenomenal at helping you share that message and also interview some pretty special and amazing guests too. Check it out right now.
Welcome to Up-Level Your Communication. I'm your host, Dr. Miluna Bausch. Listen to the music of your soul. Your voice matters, and on this show, expert guests will talk about the voice and intentional, enlightened communication, because this is how you will influence and impact the world. Welcome to Up-Level Your Communication. My guest today was LA born and raised, and he says he just wanted to live to see the age of 18. He has overcome so much to become the gracious man he is today, making a difference in the state of South Carolina and beyond. Here's his message for us. Keep moving forward and things will work out in the end. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you South Carolina Representative, Dr. Jermaine Johnson. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here.
Let's start with the release of the documentary of your life. I got myself a yard, from basketball to the halls of political power. Now, I had the pleasure of being at the screening and meeting you at the College of Charleston, your alma mater, one of them.
Yeah.
Did you hesitate before saying yes to revealing your life in a film?
Oh, my God. Well, yeah. Thanks so much for that question right there. I was extremely nervous. I was so afraid. I was so scared because of the trials and tribulations that I did grow up in. And I was mainly afraid because I was thinking, how would people view me or judge me based on decisions that I had to make as a young person? So, I mean, for a week up to before the release, I mean, I was crying. I was nervous. I was having anxiety attacks and just so nervous about everything, about how people would view me. Because, you know, when you're in these situations, sometimes you have to make difficult decisions or you have to do certain things, just for survival tactics. And I was so nervous about it, and I was hesitant about it. And, you know, like, man, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to, allow this level of vulnerability? Because it's really just being vulnerable. But I thought about other people versus myself in this situation, about how many people it could help. Because, you know, I don't consider my story to be unique. I just consider my story to be the one that's now out there. And people just, you know, are going through these trials and tribulations, but they don't have anywhere to look at to say, you know what, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is some hope on the other side.
I'm so glad you said yes. We are in such a time of chaos. We need good news and folks like yourself to look up to. Yay. Tell us about the moment that you had that profound shift, realizing that you owned a home and you had a yard.
Oh, I tell you, I love telling this story here, because, you know, I've been working so hard to just, to make sure that I was going to have a good life, to make sure I could take care of my family, and my kids. And I've just been forging along, you know, just leaping over all the obstacles that were being put in my way, that I really didn't take time to really understand and look at what was going on around me, or really to enjoy what was going on around me. And one day, you know, I had just bought my first home, so I had a home to live in, and I was outside. And this is before I even got elected. I was on like a board, the Richland County Recreation Commission, and I was outside of my backyard. And it's hot in South Carolina. We have that humidity. It's so hot.
It's so hot here.
I was so upset, you know, and I was mad because I had to cut my grass. And it was so hot outside. You know, I took my shirt off. I had to give me some water. And I was like, man, I'm just so mad. I was so angry. And I couldn't believe that I actually had to be outside cutting the grass. And then all of a sudden an unspeakable feeling came over me. And I say it was God that was talking to me. And it was like, you have yourself a yard. I said, I got myself a yard. And I said, I got myself a yard. And I just kept saying it. I said, I got myself a yard. And God was telling me to humble myself. And I said, oh my God, here I am. I've never had anything. I've been homeless. I lived in people's houses and slept with my friends' houses. I went to 7 different high schools. You know, my brother was murdered. I've seen all this craziness, people in jail and drugs and gangs. And I said, here I am complaining about cutting my grass that I've never had, that I was blessed with, through all the hard work. And I said, how dare you? Like, how dare you? Man, the tears just started flowing down my eyes. I got off my little tractor lawnmower. I got in my yard. I got on my knees. I started praising God. I started lifting my hands up. I was just shouting and saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I was just so excited, and I humbled myself after that. I said, I was so embarrassed of myself that I had not the audacity to complain about maintaining something that I was blessed with, and that was the shift for me. And that allowed me to get back up with a smile on my face and the sweat pouring down my body and just to get up and cut the rest of my grass. And I gave it an edge up too. I edged I trimmed the bushes real good. And I was so happy because I said, man, like this belongs to me. This belongs to me. And it's all in my name. And I was like, it may not be the biggest house, but I own a house. I've got a bed. For a long time, I slept on couches or recliners or a floor, things like that. And I'm like, man, I have a house with a bed in it and bathrooms, and that feeling it still hits me to this day. I can remember like it was yesterday.
Wow, such a gorgeous, gorgeous story, and ended up being the title of the film.
Yes.
Aww. Oh, it's so great. I got myself a yard. Yes, you do. You have a beautiful home with a yard. Now, what is it about basketball that gave you tools to take charge of your future?
Yes. So basketball has always been my thing. I had an older brother who played basketball, and basketball was just something my dad did as well. Like people just kind of play basketball, and I was like, man, I want to play basketball. So, I just kind of fell in love with it from a young age. About 6 years old, I fell in love with basketball. I started playing organized basketball at 9, and I used to take my basketball to school with me every single day on my bicycle. I dribbled to school. I dribbled home from school. But basketball really saved my life, I tell people, because when things were going bad in my household, when I didn't have anything, when I was living somewhere else, I could always go on the basketball court and not think about any of the problems, because when you're in the moment and you're in the moment of playing basketball and you're shooting and dribbling, you can't think about anything else outside of just doing the next move that you have to do. And it's all about strategy and those type of things. So me falling in love with that, it really saved my life because it allowed me to relieve the stresses of life that I had to deal with every single day and just focus on my craft. And I tell people all the time that I got good at basketball on accident. Like I wasn't trying to get good at basketball. I just ended up getting good at basketball. There was a summer in particular that things were going really, really bad in my home. And to escape my home, I would just go to this park, this outside court every single day from sun up to sundown. And I would just be out there just playing basketball by myself, shooting on the court, dribbling, shooting, running around, just doing that all by myself. And I would imagine myself going to play professional basketball one day. I'd be talking to myself saying, hey, you're going to go play professional basketball. And from one summer to the next, I was leaps and bounds better in basketball to where I was now like a top basketball player just by doing that, and I was so excited about it. But basketball, I always told my coaches and them, I said, listen, when basketball is over for me, it's over for me. I'm not going to fight it, but I don't need basketball to define everything about me. But basketball is what I absolutely love to do. But people know I didn't really even watch a lot of basketball on TV. I just loved to play it, and that was just my thing to do. But also, when I ended up going to college on a basketball scholarship, I took my education serious. Like my coaches, they knew that I was not going to miss study hall. They knew I was not going to skip out of class. They knew they didn't have to worry about me doing it because they knew that I had something to fight for, that I never wanted to go back to living the life that I had to live. And they knew I had some aspirations of doing other great things.
Love it. Love it. You say that your past or our past does not define our future and that we can overcome any obstacles with hard work and determination.
Yeah.
Would you teach us how we can cultivate more of that belief in ourselves when we want to give up?
Yes. I talk to a lot of kids all the time, and when you talk to young people and you tell them about some of the hardships or things they're going through, the very first thing that they usually tell you is, you don't know what I'm going through. You've never been it. They see you as an individual who has never had to struggle or has never had to deal with any hardships in your life. And that's why I'm able to talk to these young people so well, is that I say, well, actually, I do know what you're going through. I've had a similar situation. I do know, what the pain you're feeling. I've also felt that pain. So it's getting individuals to see their hardships. Everybody has a story. Now, everybody has a story, but you all may not feel comfortable telling your story, but everybody has a best-selling book inside of their heart, inside of their minds, and they have that. And we so often, we think that our lives are just normal, that our lives are just our lives. See, I didn't realize that my story was so special or so amazing until I started talking to other people who didn't live like me, who didn't grow up like me. And they started saying like, oh my God, like Jermaine, you went through that. You dealt with this. Like even my therapist was like, oh my God, how did you overcome all of that? And I'm like, man, well, it was just my life. So I didn't know anything else. And that's what people around the world are dealing with right now. They're saying, this is just my life. This is what I deal with. But when you start talking to other people, it starts to make you feel a little bit more appreciative of your determination, of your hard work, of your work ethic, and who you are as an individual and who God has decided that you should be. And so it's really, you can start to get some of that appreciation for, who the obstacles that you've overcome, and understand that your past does not define your future. When you start talking to other people and other people saying, man, I don't know how if I could have overcome that. And you're like, well, yeah, you could have, or, then let me help you figure this out. And you'll start to understand that really your past does not define your future. Doc, I'm sure you have overcome so many hardships in your life, and people are probably saying, well, how did you become doctor? Through all of that, I'm sure you wanted to give up some days and you didn't want to do it, but everybody has some hardships, and it's based on you about what you feel like you can overcome, but somehow you were able to overcome it.
Thank you. You and I did not get our PhDs on Easy Street.
I'm doing
big journey. Our journeys were very different, but yes, I have had some major things, and certainly there are things you've lived through that I have not experienced. Thank you. For the audience, take a breath. You feel better already, yes? You too can overcome. It builds character. That's what they tell me, but I think it does.
Right.
Because you learn.
That literature review, that was the hardest part for me, doing that literature review in my dissertation. I was like, good Lord.
I was so touched, this was in the film, by your ability to canvas your community. You were not only out daily walking around, telling people what's available, informing them, but you took the time and had the presence of heart and mind to sit on the front porch with people. Why does this matter in our communities?
Well, we often think of politicians or leaders as some people that are not tangible, people that we can't touch them, we can't reach them. We put them on a pedestal and we say, oh, these people over there, they're this, they're not accessible. And myself in particular, growing up, I had never seen anybody like me. I had never met a politician before. I had never seen them out, none of that type of stuff. I didn't know anything about it. So I wanted to be the change that I really wanted to see. And I wanted to lead like that. I wanted to lead with the people to let the people know that, hey, listen, you can be me. Like, you don't have to think that I'm just not accessible or that you can't do what I do. You don't have to have some specialized background. You don't have to have some specialized education. You don't have to do certain things. You can literally be me, and your children can be me, and your grandchildren can be me. And that's so I take time out of my, out of my days when sometimes I'm just driving around the community. I'll stop, and sit on the porch with people, or I'll go hand out job applications to people, or, whatever it is. And I let them know that, hey, listen, I'm Representative Johnson. Is there anything I can help you with? And all the time, I get the shocked face, like, what are you doing over here? And what are you doing? And I don't just go to the good neighborhoods. I'm in the neighborhoods that aren't so good. Where it's infested with drugs or crime or whatever it is. And I'm trying to inspire people. I'm trying to give hope to let them know that, hey, listen, there is a way that we can beautify this neighborhood if you want to beautify it, or there's a way that I can help you get out if you want to get out. And I just want these people to be able to see me and to know that they can be me. It's also a reason why when I have free time that I do substitute teaching in our elementary schools, because I want the kids in the school to say, man, I can grow up to be this guy. This guy's he's a normal guy. He's a cool guy, and I can be like him. And that's why I also ran for office. I wanted to be an inspiration to my young people to say, hey, listen, I can grow up to be like this person and do exactly what he does. That is not so far reaching or anything like that. I can do what this guy does. So, I always wanted to be that change, for people in my community, just so that they know that I'm not above them, that I'm walking right alongside with them.
Now, you're a July 4th baby, and I'm a July 3rd baby. When I was very young, I thought the fireworks on the 4th were for me. Did you ever think that?
I thought the same thing. I used to say, man, they gotta be celebrating my birthday.
Good. I love it. I thought, was I the only one that thought that? I'm glad you thought that. Also in the film, you share a story of being 6'7", yes? Mm-hmm. 250-pound black man with tattoos.
Yeah.
And you shared that you were in an elevator with a small white woman who shrank back from you in fear as she clutched her purse.
Yeah.
Now, this could describe you and me, and it hurt my heart so much. How can we see other folks through the eyes of love and value and not color and appearance?
Yes. I love that. I love that question there, because this is something I often deal with or have often dealt with. Where I'm just going around, going along my way, and I'm in an elevator, and the white woman looks at me, and she's clutching her purse, and she's scared, and I'm like, man, if you only knew who I was, you would know I'm a big teddy bear. I'm a big hugger.
I can verify that.
And it's so disheartening that we just automatically have this implicit bias to look at people who are different or something and just think that they're ultimately just a bad person. But I try to lead with love, and the way how I got elected, people are always asking how I get along with everybody in the General Assembly. I get along with everybody, and they always ask how do you do that? And it's because I see people for who they are. They're people. People are people. And everybody's had some certain experiences growing up that have brought them, it's just a collective decision experience that have brought them to who they are to this day. And if you sit down and you have a conversation with people, they will let you know exactly how they became that person that they are to this day. And I don't want to sit around a bunch of people who just agree with me all day long. I want to sit around some people who don't agree with me so I can figure out the common ground that we have, because our differences is what makes us beautiful. That's what makes people beautiful. I mean, I go hang out with people all the time who are not like me, who don't think like me, who don't dress like me, who look the complete opposite of me. I have some old white men who are my best of friends. I've got some old white women who are my best of friends. And we just sit there, we break bread, and our families get together. Because, I mean, we have so much more in common than we do have differently, but you have to be able to be patient with people and take the opportunity to lead with love. Don't just make these automatic assumptions that people are inherently bad. I believe that people are inherently good, because when I go to these talks and I ask people, and I go to a lot of, events where there's people who don't look like me, and I say, who in here wants a safe neighborhood? And they raise their hand. Who in here wants cheap groceries? Everybody raise their hand. Who wants to have good schools and a good paying jobs? And I say, listen, we all have the same things in common. We all want for the same things. Now, the way that we get to that destination might be a little bit different, but we all want the same exact outcomes for life. We all want to live a long life and have a healthy family. So if you lead with that type of approach to people, everybody's a friend. You won't ever meet a stranger, because you're looking at somebody who has so much more in common than you than when you have a difference.
And I can testify. I went to shake Dr. Johnson's hand, and he gave me a hug. He, as he said, it's all from the heart of love, and that's why you make such a difference. You were given instructions when you entered politics. So tell us what those instructions were and why you did not follow them.
Oh, my goodness. Essentially, when you first get elected, you're considered a freshman, and you're like a know-nothing, do-nothing freshman is what they pretty much consider you as. And when I got it, so I had a conversation with Mayor Steve Benjamin of Columbia, South Carolina, before he went to go work in the Biden administration. And this conversation I had with him before I even got elected, because this is when I was about to run for office. And he said, Jermaine, on your first day in office, you're going to be in the top 10% of all people up there. And I said, there's no way, man. I said, there's absolutely no way. These people have been up here 20, 30, 40 years. So there's no way I'm going to be in the top 10%. And I got up there. I said, I'm in the top 10%. So I'm in the top 10%. So, but when you get up there and you listen and you see and you watch and you know that your life experiences really can contribute to the conversation, you realize as a young person, you can't sit back and wait your turn. See, when I decided to run for office, a lot of people that were out here, they said that I was too young. They said I was too inexperienced. They said that, that I needed to wait my turn, and I had a conversation with the congressman, and the congressman said, Jermaine, you don't need permission from us old folks to run for office. And that's essentially when I decided to go ahead and go head first in. And that was Congressman Jim Clyburn that told me that. And because of that instruction, it also had me to really think about all the biggest change makers in history. They've all been young people. All of them have been around my age. Dr. Martin Luther King was in his 20s and 30s, and when I decided to run for office, I was 33. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you really look around to see who is doing the great things, they're young people. They have the energy, but also you have to have young people and individuals who are elders, because those individuals have the wisdom. They have the path. They know the things that have been tried before that didn't work before. They know those things. So if you can marry the young with the old, you can make the change happen for everybody. And that's what I came in to do. I came in and I talked to great legislators like I.S. Levy Johnson. He was one of the first 2 black members that have been elected to the House since Reconstruction. And I've talked to these individuals and they said, Jermaine, your legacy is my legacy. And they poured into me to let me know that they would be there for me, to stand with me when I want to do this thing. And they gave me the confidence to feel good about standing up and saying some things. And it didn't hurt that I had an undergrad degree in communications and a minor in theater to help me to be able to really convey my message, because I had the way to be able to communicate. And that helped me to get my message across to where, I had that along with the wisdom of my mentors that really helped me to jump out there. And I said, I cannot be silent. I have to speak up.
I love it. I love it. Now, I'm going to ask this question now because you so beautifully brought it up. My realm is in communication. So I always ask my guests something about that. And you've already shared with the audience your degrees were communication and theater. And my background is corporate and showbiz. And a lot of the techniques I teach my executives are what I learned in show business, being on stage and film and screen. What percentage of your success do you credit to your ability to communicate with others, and specifically those with maybe opposite viewpoints than you have?
I would say about 90%.
Whoa.
About 90% of it is that. The other 10% is my athletic background, because my athletic background, it built my work ethic. My competitive spirit, the one where it's like, you're like, you might want to run against me, but you're not going to outwork me. You might beat me, but you're not going to outwork me. Like I've got that spirit where you cannot outwork me. It's just in me, to be competitive. But the other part, to be able to communicate, that's the most difficult part, because sometimes you have good ideas, but if you can't communicate your ideas, then nobody's going to be able to receive your ideas. And that is how I'm able to do this, because I know communication is two-way. You have to have a sender, you have to have a receiver. And when you're sitting down with somebody, you have to be able to listen to somebody to say this. And if I can translate their message utilizing some sort of a really good analogy from their world, they will then be able to be like, you know what, that makes perfect darn sense. And I'm like, yeah, that's all we're saying. And that's why Andrew Yang, when Andrew Yang was running for president, that's pretty much why he hired me to be his campaign chairman for South Carolina, because I was able to take this high level message about the universal basic income and all those different things. And I was able to really condense it and bring it down and translate it to people who didn't come from that technology background AI world. And I was able to put it in small, in terms that we can all, like, bite-sized terms. And people were like, now I get it. So that's why he traveled me around everywhere with him, so I can communicate his message to other folks. And if you can learn how to translate messages, if you can learn how to give people an idea and let them to regurgitate the idea and believe that it was an idea that they came up with on their own, you're doing something. You're really doing something there. And I've really gotten really good at communicating with different, because I've also spent a lot of time with different people. I've come from these different neighborhoods, these bad neighborhoods, but I went to public school, but I also went to private school. I've lived in poor neighborhoods. I've lived in rich neighborhoods. You know, I've hung out with poor people. I've hung out with rich people, and I've been able to go through all spectrum of life to really understand what's the lingo and what's the language barrier that I have to overcome.
In the film, I Got Myself a Yard, you share your forgiveness practice, where you called and apologized to people you felt you had hurt. And you also called the man who killed your brother. How did that set you free?
Oh my God. It was unlike anything other. Because life had humbled me. Life had really humbled me. I had gotten really cocky and arrogant, right after I had graduated from college. Because I had a fantastic college career. I had agents and people talking about, you know, my ability to play professional basketball. I had, lots of girls thought I was attractive, and I had gotten really arrogant. I had gotten a big head, and because of that, I had gotten released from my initial, basketball team that I got drafted to. And once that happened, it was like rock bottom for me. It was like, oh my God, well, you're not as hot stuff as you really think you are. You're not as big time as you really think you are. And life humbled me. It sat me down. I didn't have any money. I had a college degree with no job or anything, and really no place to go. And when that happened, I said, man, I've got to start talking to people. I've got to apologize to people, because I hurt some people, with my arrogant attitude. And I called everybody and I just apologized. I called my son's mom and I apologized. I called my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and I apologized. I called my coach and I apologized for the arrogant attitudes and things that I had. And it was really just my path to redemption, if you will, to really just ask for forgiveness for everybody, that was going on. And then fast forward, with all this forgiveness that I've been doing, after I had got done playing professional basketball, when I came home and started my nonprofit organization, I started working with individuals who had been to prison, who had done, some horrible things. And I was working with them and talking with them and really seeing them and understanding what, their stories. And then I thought to myself, I said, I went through the same situation, because an individual had killed my brother. And I don't know who this gentleman is. I've never talked to him. I don't know where he's at or anything like that. And I said, how can I hold a grudge and not talk to this guy and not work with this guy, but I'm doing this to somebody else's family? And I felt like I was a hypocrite at that moment. I felt like I was a hypocrite. And I said, I didn't want to be a hypocrite. So, I called my older brother, the surviving twin, and I asked him about the guy, and he gave me his name, and I looked him up on Facebook, and I sent him a message. And I asked him to, why did he do it and what happened? And he sent me his phone number. We got on the phone and we talked, and I cried on the phone with him, and he explained his side of the story, and everything like that. But that gave me some closure for myself to understand that, hey, listen, that these things, these horrible things happen to families. And though you never truly get over them, you can truly get some understanding if you're going to be able to move forward.
So powerful. So powerful. How can folks get involved to improve their own community? I know sometimes we think I can't make a difference. I don't want to be a politician, but for my audience, this is a politician in front of us. Look at this. This is what we can have in office here, especially in the United States. And I won't say anything more than that right now. I mean, I'm envisioning a president like Martin Luther King right about now is what I'm looking for. How can we get involved when we think we can't make a difference?
I really, it saddens me when people say that they don't feel like they can make any change, when really it's the people who are out here who make all of the change, and politicians only move on the people's beat. Whatever the people say do, that's what the politician is going to do. Essentially on a local level, like where I'm at, if people are only going to move to where where politicians are only going to move based on what the people say. So in your communities right now, you can get involved. I tell young people all the time, I say, be the representative before you're the representative. Be the representative before you're the representative. And what I mean by that is don't wait for you to get a title before you start leading. Don't wait for permission before you start leading. Don't wait on somebody else to lead before you start leading. Do it right now. So if you see some litter in your community, go out there and go pick up the litter. Somebody else will join you. I guarantee you. Set the trend. People else, they're going to stop by and they're going to ask you, hey, what you doing out here? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going there to pick up the trash. We'd like to come help you. That person might not say yeah, but I guarantee somebody else is going to say yeah. They're going to do it because you're going to set the trend. So I do a lot of litter pickups in my community because I believe if I'm going to represent my community, I should be involved in cleaning up my community. So, I do a lot of stuff like that. There are a lot of boards and commissions where you don't have to get elected. You can just say, hey, listen, I want to serve on this board right here in your community. You have neighborhood associations you can go serve on. You have homeowners associations you can serve on. I mean, you have all these different groups that you can go do, or you can say, you know what? I'm a good baker. I like to bake cookies. Let me go bake some cookies and take it to my local fire department. Let me go take it to my local police department. They will start looking at you as a leader of your community. I've traveled around and given all of our first responders pizzas one day just to say thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. I've given them donuts and coffee and things like that just to say thank you. Organize a neighborhood walk. Go knock on your neighbor's doors. And that's one of the problems that we have right now is people don't even know their neighbors anymore. They don't know who their community member. They're scared to talk to anybody. Stop being afraid to talk to people. Just go outside and you can sit outside on your lawn and just wave at the people who are passing by. People will begin to look at you in a different light and say, hey, this is a friendly person. Let's go see who this person is. Let's go see what this person's about. You can absolutely get involved with what you're comfortable with just by being a good person.
Something very special about South Carolina, I think. And we were in Monterey, California before this particular move. We know our neighbors, and it's been such a good thing for my heart. Some of our neighbors are actually friends now, and we look out for each other. It's what we really must do in our communities. This matters.
Yeah.
Every person matters.
Yeah.
Now, you are a husband and a father and a representative and a business owner and a professor, and there's more.
Yeah, really, well, I'm a deacon in my church too. All right, so.
There is so much that you do. Would you both define success in your words and what you're focused on over the next 2 years in office?
Yeah, so success for me is just not giving up. All it is just continue to move forward. And it doesn't matter. I don't care what it is that you're doing, what type of hobbies you have. It's just continue to move forward. And we look at success. A lot of people put, a definition of success with money. They want to say it's money. And I don't believe that's the case. I believe that, let's say somebody who has been paralyzed, and then they get up out of their bed and they take one step. They take one step. That is success. That is success right there. Somebody who is feeling suicidal, who was decided to say, you know what, I'm not going to let this depression take me down. And they lived an extra day, and they were able to stay strong another day and another day. Or those people who are trying to quit cigarettes, who are recovering addicts, and they're saying, you know what, that's why they count their successful days as I've been recovering for 365 days, 14 hours, 37 minutes, and 27 seconds, and counting, because every second is a successful milestone for them. And that's how I count success for myself, is just moving forward. Whatever it is that I'm putting my mind on for that day, because I love so much things. I love life. And I just continue to move forward. And I tell people all the time that when I go to the grave, I will not have any potential left. Like, all of it's going to be gone, because I fly airplanes now, I fly airplanes, and I'm just like, anything that I've ever wanted to do. This past summer, I said, you know what? I want to learn how to drive trucks. I enrolled in school and I got my CDL, and I went to school all summer long to be able to drive trucks. So anything, I'm just like, man, anything I want to do, I go out and I do it. I want to live light, and all of that is success for me, because I'm continuing to move forward. I'm continuing to advance my knowledge. I'm continuing to advance myself. I'm showing my kids that everything is possible if you put your mind to it. If you have the aspirations and you want to do it, you can actually do it. And that is what drives me every single day, is just to continue to move forward. And I hope people can also continue to see that, to say, you know what, I don't have to have a certain amount of money in my bank. As long as I'm moving forward and I don't give up, that is success for them.
What are the next 2 years in office like for you? Do you imagine, can you run again? I'm not sure on the term limits here. What's your vision for the next couple of years?
Yeah. So I have been blessed with the opportunity to actually be on one of the top committees this session here. I'm on the LCI committee, which is unheard of for somebody of my recent election. I've only been in this my third term, and I'm already on one of the top committees, in the General Assembly, which is a fantastic thing to be up there. So for the next 2 years, really, I'm going to spend a lot of time getting out there and talking to more business people in this state, because right now, we have a lot of controversy in the state, centered around diversity, equity, and inclusion in our higher education institutions and those things. And I really want to get out there to talk to our institutions, but also our businesses, to say, hey, listen, different is not bad. Having diversity is not bad. We can continue to learn from each other. Let's protect our programs that are in our schools that we have here, to continue to invest in our educational aspects and things of that nature. And I really want to go ahead and just continue to spread that message of love and unity around our differences, so that we can unite around that to really bring the people of South Carolina together. So for the next 2 years, I'm going to go travel some more parts of the state. I've been to 15 counties already, traveling, talking, doing listening sessions. I plan on going to another 15 this year. There's, it's 46 in the state. And I'm going to do some listening sessions and go listen to other people and hear what they have to say to really bring this message of unity to the people.
Thank you for improving the beautiful state of South Carolina. And I just think it ripples. Yes, we start here with our own heart, our own community, and it ripples out.
That's right.
And everyone is lifted up. Dr. Johnson, thank you. My final question, how can folks connect and get in touch with you?
Well, personally, if they want to just send me an email, they can reach out to me at info@johnsonforsc.com. They can call my office. I know my number is going to be up there on the screen. I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head right now. It's 803-212-6818. If they want to reach out to my office, I've got a website, johnsonforsc.com. Or, I'm in the State House all the time, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're up there. If you want to come to the lobby, you can come on there and request that I come out and say hey to you. I'm always there. I do a lot of talking to these kids. A lot of kids, they do tours up there. So, if you're walking around the State House and you see me, say hey to me. I talk to everybody that's up there, and let me talk to the kids and, that type of stuff. So please feel free to reach out to me and we can make some changes happen.
Fantastic. Thank you for that invitation. I just might take you up on that. Leave my way. In Charleston to Columbia, it's what, 2 hours? How long is the drive?
Yeah, but it's if you're coming from Charleston, it's about an hour 45. Mm-hmm.
Okay, couple hours. The way I drive, maybe a little less, but
maybe about an hour and a half. Yeah.
I wanted to be a race car driver. Now I'm a safe driver, but I don't drive slow. We'll just put it that way.
Listen. If you take anything from my message, it's not too late. I fly planes.
Exactly. Also on my list, I love that you do that. I love that. What an honor and a pleasure to be on my show. Thank you for being a guest today.
Well, but thank you so much for having me on here. It's absolutely been an honor to continue to spread this message and let people know that great things are on the horizon for all of us.
For the audience, we're so glad you were here today. Again, South Carolina Representative Dr. Jermaine Johnson, making that difference. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next episode of Uplevel Your Communication. And we'll say bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to our show. If you'd like to have a conversation about how developing your communication and presence skills will connect you to opportunities, impact, income, and fulfillment, let's talk about your future. Go to milunafausch.com and book a conversation with me. You can also find out more about my Forbes book and our podcast music, Strong Body.
Thank you for enjoying this content by Billionaires in Boxes. If you would like to be a guest or a host, be sure to get in contact with us at billionairesinboxes.com.